Dear students, I am Dr. Basavaraj Enaki, Associate Professor of History, Government First Year College, Dandeli. This is on foreign literary source of Indian history affiliated to Karnataka University of BA first semester. In this video program, I am going to explain you about the foreign literary sources of ancient India. As you know very well, the literary sources of ancient India are broadly classified into archaeological sources and literary sources. In archaeological sources, once again, we have classified them as antiquities, inscriptions, numismatics, and monuments. Similarly, literary sources are classified as indigenous sources and foreign literary sources. So, the main purpose of classification of these sources is that they are different in nature, different in structure, and different in thought content also. Monuments doesn't contain any information, only we can understand by its art and architecture. Similarly, hero stones also. Similarly, literary sources are classified as indigenous and foreign sources. Here the author is taken into consideration while classifying these sources. Definition is very simple. A book written upon India by foreigners is called as foreign literary sources. They were Some of them were great scholars and some of them were freelance writers. They came to India with their support of the royal kingdoms, and they wrote these sources in their own mother tongue, that is in foreign languages. Later on, most of these books are translated to Indian regional language as well as international languages. As a result of this, the culture, history, and heritage of ancient India was spread to foreign countries. Now let us see the importance of foreign sources. The study of foreign sources definitely throw light on the relationship between India and those foreign countries. Secondly, it helps us to understand the Indology as it is understood by the foreigners. They throw light on religious condition, economic condition, social condition, administration, and political condition of the past. Because of these books, it helped a lot to spread Indian culture, tradition, and religion in foreign countries such as China, Burma, Indonesia, Ceylon, and Japan. In addition to that, that help to the spread of art, architecture, sculpture, literature, painting, numismatics of India, as well as influence of foreign countries in these fields. Now let us see which were those foreign literary sources. Before the invasion of Alexander, there were four great scholars who mentioned about India in their books. They were Herodotus. Herodotus is known as the father of history. He was a Greek historian. Tennyson, he was also a great scholar who mentioned about India. Hectius and Scylax. These were the four Greek scholars who wrote about India in their works before the invasion of Alexander. These books helped the others to know about India, and it created interest among the rulers to invade upon India. This can be the most influence of a book because it helps us to throw light on to understand about India. Now, Herodotus, he lived from 484 to 425 BC. He was a Greek historian. He wrote a book called The Histories, a detailed record of his inquiry on the origins of the Greco-Persian Wars. He often referred as the father of history because it was he laid the foundation for the systematic writing of historical writings for the first time in the world. Based on his books, there were many books came to light on his work. It means it created some sort of interest among the other scholars to write a book based on his book and some other history books. It was the Greeks who called us as Indians because of the Indus River. And Indians called the Greeks Yunas and Yavanas from the Ionians. This is how the word India originated from the Greek. After the expedition of Alexander, some great men of scholars came to India and they took a lot of interest in writing books upon India. They were Aristobulus, Once Cricketus, and Nearchus. They never wrote a complete book upon India, but in their book, here and there, they mentioned about Indian culture and heritage. For the first time, a Greek ambassador called Megasthenes of Nicholas Nicator came to the court of Chandragupta and he wrote a highly valuable and very informative book on India called Indica in Greek language. So far, the original text is not at all found, but based on the references found in other works of Strabo and Diodorus, such fragments have survived in later Greek and Latin works. They have been collected and published in the form of small book. And Indica is the most important book which throw light on the geography of India, important rivers, history of ancient India, flora, fauna, economy of India, agriculture, society, condition of the farmers, herders, artisans, military, overseers, councillors and assessors, philosophy and administration. Thus, this book is one of the most important source to understand about ancient India. And the fragments of these books were collected and written by Felix Jacobi and E.A. Scavenbeck. That is why the book is known to the world. It further mentioned about the administration of Pataliputra, in which there were 6 boards, each with 5 men. They were in charge of trade and commerce, tax collection committee, collection of statistical information, craft and industry, public works, census. So this is how these committees worked on different aspects of the society. It also mentioned about the Mauryan army, which consisted infantry, cavalry, chariots, elephants, navy, and commissioner. According to them, according to Megasthenes, there were 7 castes. This is how Megasthenes Indica throw light upon India. Now let us see about Ptolemy. Claudius Ptolemy. He was a Greek geographer who lived between 100 to 168 AD. He was a mathematician, astronomer, natural philosopher, geographer, and astrologer. He wrote several scientific treatises. He was a great scholar. He wrote the book called Geography, which is a thorough discussion of the Greek knowledge of the Greco-Roman world. It was he propounded the geometric theory of the solar system that prevailed for 1400 years. It was he, in ancient time, prepared the world map in which he mentioned about latitude, longitude, oceans, longest day, climatic condition, equator, solar system, are all discussed in this book, which laid the foundation for the systematic study of geography in the ancient time. Thus, by this book, he enriched the knowledge of the geography of the rest of the world. He was a great mathematician and contributed scholarly works in that particular subject also. This is how Ptolemy helped a lot in understanding the history of the past. Next scholar is Pliny, who wrote a book called Natural History. It is the largest single work to have survived from the Roman Empire to the modern day. It is encyclopedia in scope, but its structure is not like that of modern encyclopedia. It means it covered minimum subjects. It covered subjects like astronomy, mathematics, geography, ethnography, anthropology, human physiology, zoology, botany, agriculture, horticulture, pharmacology, mining, mineralogy, sculpture, art, and precious stones. Thus, it laid the foundation for further writing of encyclopedia or enriching the style of encyclopedia book in a systematic manner. Thus, the contribution of Pliny is commendable even today, and it remained even today. Based on his ideas, the present encyclopedias have been written. The next important book is Periples of Erythraean Sea. Even today, the author is not known to us because nowhere it is mentioned about this author. The meaning of Periples of Erythraean Sea means circumnavigation of the Red Sea. It means traveling in a Red Sea. This is the most important source of information for ancient Rome's maritime trade in these waters. It was written in the 1st century AD by a Greek merchant. It is a short manual for the traders who sailed from the Red Sea ports from Roman Egypt to buy and sell in various ports along the eastern Africa, southern Arabia, and western India. It means it gives detailed account about the ancient trade carried from the ports of Red Sea with that of Eastern Africa, Southern Arabia and Western India. The second chapter of this book is completely devoted to trade in Indian Ocean, in which he mentioned about the ports of ancient India, the goods imported and exported from there. There is a separate chapter on India's west coast from Bombay to Calcutta, in which he mentioned about the flora, fauna, rock condition, and water, and Western Ghats section, etc. This is in Greek language. This throw light on the relationship between the coastal cabotage and transocean shipping to identify trading circuits and unexpected centers of long distance exchange. We must be grateful to Chinese because of their works and because of their traveling, because of their interest who came to India. Su Ma Chin, who was there in the 100 BC, he is called as the father of history of China, was the first Chinese historian who mentioned about India in his book. Based on his information, the later travelers they came in thousands number, but among them only few of them have left behind their travel accounts. They were Faiyan, Huansang, Ising, and Huli. They came to India during Gupta's period, and they left a valuable account about our country in the form of travel accounts. Because of those books, it helped for the spread of Buddhism in the rest of the Asian world, Asian countries, replacing the original religion of those countries. India must be grateful to the Chinese because it was through these books they spread the Buddhism and removed or eradicated the original religion of those countries. Payana came to the court of Chandragupta of the Gupta Empire. Huan Sang came to India during the time of Harshavardhana and even presided over the Buddhist council conducted by Harshavardhana at Kanauj. Similarly, Itsing also came during the Gupta's period. So, because of their valuable books, we have information about ancient economic condition, agriculture condition, irrigation condition, city administration of Patliputra, etc. This is how the foreign literary sources are useful to understand the history of ancient India. Thank you.